This is Critical Nonsense, our high-lowbrow show about culture, science, and tech. This week, I asked Joey about the fifth gate. Woo!
You can catch me in the cherry red 150. Got the glizzy locked in the stizzy. What does Joey sound like? And this is what an executive producer in Big Pun, Jess Vander, sounds like.
Hi, this is Jess.
It's so hard.
So hard when I never know the references.
That's the song that it's from. I quoted the song yesterday, and I'm like, what Big Pun song was that from? I went, go that way. And then I was like, what is that from? And then I listened to it and I was like, man, I haven't heard this song in a long time and it is still so good. And then I've listened to it a bunch of times since then. So,
there's still things that bring joy to you and your memory.
Bronx represent.
Yeah,
Big Punisher.
Oh.
Still not a player, but you're still a hater.
Oh my goodness.
Jess, welcome back from vacation. There's no house cleaning because Aaron and I paid someone to come in and clean up after us. So you have something that I know nothing out of our normal flow of at least like being like, I think we're going to talk about this. This is blind. I'm coming in blind. Give it to me.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
As long as it's not about Brax.
It's not about Brax. The fateful conversation about Brax, where I brought to Joey the one thing he did not know how to have any discussion
Well, we're having the
about.
experiment of, could you talk about anything? I was like, I don't know. That sounds fun. Let's do that. And then you're like, Brax, what do you think? And I'm like,
and you're like, dang it. I got nothing.
I was like, that's it? You're just seeing, do I know all botany concepts?
Oh, well, this is biologically related-ish, but is not nearly the same amount of limited. When I was out, I was in Iceland, and I learned two things. I maybe learned other things, but I learned I learned a few other things. For instance, and note that all of these are gross exaggerations, but just start with a few. One, I from what I observed, they don't believe in hooks because I don't know why. You look for hooks and there aren't many anywhere. They don't believe in stop signs. There's largely roundabouts. They do believe in shoe horns. You'll see many of those. All yogurt is skyr, the Icelandic, highly proteinated, low-fat dairy product. Would highly recommend that you look into it. And Iceland also is a newly growing server farm destination because of cheap energy, and it's kind of cold. So those are some things that I learned and observed, but there are two things specifically that were extremely fascinating, and both of them are about horses. The first one is that, did you know all horses on Iceland are Icelandic horses? Which sounds like a tautology. Like, it sounds like I'm not saying anything, but that's like a specific kind of horse. They're a little bit lower to the ground. They're a bit stockier. They can handle some pretty intense weather.
Like mules?
I looked kind of, they look more like horses. I also, just to preface, I know very little about horses, so this was like a whole thing for me of like, wow, I had no idea. I just thought these horses were short. So all horses are Icelandic horses, asterisk. I'm sure maybe there's some exception, but let's just say all of them are Icelandic horses. And the second thing that I did not know is that all horses have at least 3 gaits, like GAIT types of like moving. And those are walking, trotting, and cantering. and again, this is me knowing very little about horses, and like horse people, you should just like pop up and tell me all the things that I don't know. At least 3, maybe 4 galloping. Icelandic horses, however, have the capability to unlock a 5th gate. So for Icelandic horses, they have walking, trotting, cantering, tolting, which at first I admit I just thought was another way of saying trotting, which is not, and flying, pace. And each of these, it's like gears. It's like the horse like knows that it's like kicking into the 5th gear of horse movement. And it just was like kind of mind-blowing that this particular creature has like unlocked this higher level, like this like new thing that has not been achieved by any other horse. And maybe that's just what technology is. I'm not even sure, but it just got me thinking about this like fantastical construct of unlocking the 5th gate. And I was like, I just have to ask Joey, where haven't we unlocked the 5th gate?
Oh man. All I can think about is Lil Sebastian from Parks and Rec.
Bye, bye, little Sebastian.
Bye, bye, little Sebastian. Where haven't we unlocked? Gosh, what a hard question. I mean, the answer is like probably
Everywhere?
yeah,
All of
everywhere.
it? Are we just like at the 3rd gate for everything? We're barely at gate 1?
We're barely at a canter. We are barely at a canter. I feel like I will give you one. I feel like in like work and professional organizations, we have not unlocked the 5th gate. I don't know how many gates we've unlocked, but I've been thinking a lot about sort of working structure and seeing a lot written more anecdotally about how people are feeling about hybrid work and things. I've just seen not even we've done some work related to these types of subjects, but I've just in the past 2 months just seen so much of everybody like being upset in all directions about like return to work versus hybrid work, and like some people want to be there more and some people don't ever want to go back and some people do but in the right way. Like it feels like we are very much, we may be at a trot. And do you agree? Do you think
I
we're
Well, that's
trotting?
what's kind of interesting is like that there's a point at which you realize, maybe this is just Plato's allegory of the cape, but it's like the point at which you realize that there is more that you do not know, or like something has made you see, oh wow, there's actually we haven't even gone over here, or I had no idea that there was a thing behind me, right? So like that just starts to, all of a sudden something makes you realize that there are more gates you haven't yet unlocked, but you are now aware that they could exist.
Interesting to this question is like what happens when like everyone in a group sort of collectively like thinks they were at the 5th gate and realizes they were at the 4th gate. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like that's what's happening in physics right now.
Well,
There have been like as like someone who like observes over like the wall into the physics people sometimes, but am not the physics people. Like the past year, I think it was leading to this, but then like between JWST, like just disproving or like showing contrary evidence to a lot of like widely held beliefs, like they're like actually the universe may be twice as old as we thought it was. It's not 13 billion years, it's
yeah.
26 billion years. And they're like there are so many, like the expansion rate doesn't make sense. This cosmological constant may not be like the right thing. Like there are all of these problems that everyone's like, oh, we
Oh
thought we figured this
no.
out. We thought we were
Ooh.
past this. It was just we needed that one stupid Higgs boson, and then we were gonna be good, and everything was gonna work, and it was gonna be like things fitting together nicely. And it's like getting to the end of the puzzle,
Yeah,
and the
yeah.
piece doesn't fit, and you're like,
Like,
how? How does
oh.
it? What? To use
Actually,
Aaron's, yeah.
This is, what is a perfect example of this and is also puzzle related is the Magic Puzzle Company. I don't know if you've heard of them, but everyone, I would highly recommend adding this to your list of easy win Christmas gifts for people. And I don't want to spoil it, but like, as they say, at the end of every puzzle, there is a magic surprise at the end. And like, it is the unlocking the fifth gate of a puzzle, like a jigsaw puzzle. And I just love that you brought up this specific example. It's like, I know a puzzle like that. It also reminds me, though, is not at all physics related, but I have a few very different things that I guess I'm about to bring up. But your note about like the the study of physics and like realizing that there is more. It reminds me of Stardew Valley, the video game, and there is such a thing.
I've heard a lot of references to Stardew Valley this week. What is that?
it's
The
just
Dunning-Kruger? No, it's the other one. It's the other effect. But like,
isn't
Bader Meinhof.
Oh, Bader Meinhof. That sounds right.
Yeah.
Video game. You're a farmer. You don't need to know very much, but there is something called perfection, where if you have like farmed X number of things and fished X number of fish and completed X number of quests and slayed X number of dragons, that you've like completed, you've achieved perfection in the game. And yet, like, I have this like inkling. I'm like, is that it? But like, maybe it could be, because anything after that just gives you diminishing returns. Like the second thing is like pizza, which is unlike physics, right? Where like you could uncover a thing and it makes you realize like there is more and perfection is further than you thought. Like pizza has achieved perfection, I would argue. And so like, even if there could be more that could happen to pizza, like does it need more? Is that just like being inventive and going beyond? Like maybe it's just like we've like achieved the fifth gate, and any other gates are effectively just like something else, Like I just like the idea that there are
Spoken like
some
a true Napolitano. Like you're like you sound like the old Italian man that like runs
we're
like
not.
the like Roma or like Florentine pizza like certification,
Yeah. It's like, look, we did it. we did it. We reached pizza perfection, and there needs not be anything more.
It's done. And then until then, like the Japanese come in and say like, oh, you guys missed the fifth gate, and we just discovered a new way to do things. The Japanese are great at finding the fifth gate.
Oh, umami! It's the fifth gate of senses. Oh, speaking of, I heard this and did not verify it, but is it true that licorice is a new taste now?
Like is somehow distinct from other tastes, that it's using like a different chemical mechanism for
Right,
sensing?
like exactly, that it as potentially the sixth taste, or is that right? Am I counting it right? Sweet, salty, bitter, sour, umami, and licorice, which is ammonium chloride. Ish.
Interesting. I mean, here we are. But I do think like there's something here about like the Japanese style of craftsmanship is oriented towards the fifth gate.
I think you're right.
I think you're
Like,
right. It's
they're
like,
like,
we
"Oh,
think
you
you got
made
it.
selvage denim, but we figured it's like, oh, you thought you liked espresso Italians. Well, we figured something out, and now we make the best espresso." Or like there are a lot of I mean, it's basically just the Italians are there are 4 gates and that's it. And the Japanese are wait, but what about the 5th gate?
The fifth gate.
And they're
Oh,
just fighting because they're like, we
cultures.
got pasta to be better. And someone like recently, like some food place was like, the best pasta place in the world is in Japan, not Italy. And they're like, how
Like,
dare you?
what's wrong with you?
We
Yeah.
set the rules. We created a certification organization to establish that we set the rules. Do you not know about Denominate Nationale, whatever?
You're embarrassing yourself. Don't say that. We should really look up the real name. Sorry if we have failed you, Italian listeners. But I do hear I think what you're getting at, if I'm hearing you right, is like people can be predisposed. Sorry, Alex.
Alex's
Predisposed to
wife
like,
is so mad.
Yeah, she's like, why do you just butcher this? I don't know any better. Like people being predisposed to being 5th gate chasing. Which is kind of, I relate to it.
Do you think there are other like cultures in the US that you might think of that are, I mean, it feels like food, like whatever the vanguard of food is often looking for the 5th gate.
Yeah. It also feels like the different niches seek the 5th gate in different ways. Like take food as an example, like the pursuit of molecular gastronomy is the 5th gate via like scientific perfection of like what if we can harness what if we can harness food in like a different way, and that's what that is, versus like you have sort of the Alice Waters school of thought of like, what if you just get the perfect expression of like untainted apple? It's just like, it is just appleiness. It's just like so good. Um,
Do you want to attempt to say the word I was trying to say? The second one I just dropped down there in the chat.
oh gosh. Denominazione di origine controllata.
That's better than I would have done.
My Italian, the problem is I have to be really careful because I only know some Spanish and I have to like tamp down any attempt at Italian, otherwise it might accidentally sound too Spanish. Moving on.
Not to be confused with Appellation d'origine contrôlée in France.
Oh man. Yeah. Wow.
Food people, great.
Obsess over. I mean, certainly you've got like the map makers, the like who are the internet, like the internet source code / like
How old are you? Your boyfriend is a software engineer. It's like it's like the internet.
the internet's
The source code.
No, what am I talking about? The people who do the HubSpot? No, not this. GitHub. This is embarrassing.
Yeah,
Cut all of this.
I was thinking like before you started on this, I was thinking software engineers kind of are in this zone, or certainly like in like the startup engineering world. It is like, oh, you created this, I will create that plus one extra feature. It's better,
Yeah.
and it's like that like perpetual treadmill towards like adding and improving.
Right, but there's specifically the idea of like
Open source, is that what you're thinking?
That's what I'm looking for. Thank you very much. Open source, where you're like, and here I can put this out into the world, and that adds. But that's a little bit. That's more of like the decentralized 5th gate. It's almost like no one's counting at that point. So you don't know if you have achieved
Longevity, the longevity community, both in sort of like the biohackers as well as like the proper scientists that are studying longevity are sort of under the assumption that the human body has not hit the fifth gate in
Whoa.
aging. There's I can see if I can look him up. There's a guy that became a billionaire that is like aggressively searching for longevity. He's in like his mid 40s and is
Yeah.
like going
Well,
all out.
I mean, I suppose that's also another way of referring to the whole wellness industry, right? Which are like attempts
Gwyneth
at
Paltrow,
unlocking.
looking for the fifth
Yeah. Yes. Right. However you feel about Goop and Gwyneth, like that is the pursuit of the fifth gate,
gate. Yeah.
whether you're aligned or not.
I believe I found Brian Johnson was a tech entrepreneur who is on a search to live forever. And he is all about it. He's going all out. He's taking, I think, like hundreds of pills a day and exercising in certain ways. And it is an extreme search for the fifth gate. Does the search for the fifth gate have to be extreme?
No, I think when you've achieved it, then you've achieved it. Though the search itself may take extreme measures, or like when you'll know when you're there, it should be innate, or it should be more. It should be like, oh wow, this is, of course, it's this, but we just might not know yet.
So it can be innate, but it doesn't have to be innate.
I think so. I mean, in the spirit of the Icelandic horses, right? Like, we didn't know it was possible. And then Icelandic horses happened. And then it was like, whoa, Icelandic horses can make a fifth gate happen.
Icelandic horses can make a fifth gate happen. I'm down a rabbit hole mentally. I know that I'm going to be sitting on this for a long time now.
Like, wait a minute. Is this really
It's got me looking at pictures of Brian Johnson before and after his glow up journey.
Oh, he does look very different. We'll add these links in the show notes.
I mean, important question. Do you have to get, if you're attempting to live forever, do you have to get into sheer clothing?
Maybe those are that's just sort of a requirement, and it's more natural that way, closer to skin.
I'm not opposed to that explanation. I mean, maybe we should all only wear technical fiber. That's another fifth gate.
Material science. Boom.
Man, someone in Japan is probably already doing this. Well, Jess, do you want to take us to the gate corner?
Yeah, look. If you've already rested on your laurels, you've decided, you've already cracked the code, maybe you're actually just sitting on your fourth gate, and maybe you aren't keeping your eyes open to the fifth gate, true perfection that lies around the corner, which is basically permission to never stop.
Never stopping. Never stop, never stopping.
Yes.
Now, all right, well, I'm going to go look for fifth gate.
Okay, good luck.
You got one of these laying around? Has anybody seen a fifth gate?
Have you seen this game?
Anybody?
I just saw it for somewhere.
Critical Nonsense is a Sylvain production.
Brought to you by counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
As always, we'd like to thank the executive producer and gatekeeper, Jess Vander.
Thank you very much. We'd also like to thank sound engineer Alex Kantoff.
We'd like to thank our programming coordinator and chief vacation dude, Les Jacobs.
And thanks to production crew and perfection. Sorry, Gilbert and Nora Mestridge.
As always, thanks, Ellen.
Thanks, Len.
Special thanks. Little horses.
Yeah. You know, thanks to horses, thanks to horse girls all around. Nora Mestridge, horse girl in chief, as we know.
Do you think she already knows about the 5th gate? I don't know if she's ready for it.
I mean, Nora knows far more about horses than I do, so I would very much not be surprised. We really should have her as like a special interviewee in Critical Nonsense Horse Corner. Didn't know that was going to be a thing, but maybe it will.
It's a pony party.
It's a pony party.
Special thanks to Nootropics, I guess. I don't know. You know, if it's making people feel better, then, you know, good on you.
Yeah.
Well, long live.
Special thanks to Today I Learned, where I did in fact think that canter was spelled like the singing roll in a temple, and in fact it is with an E, not an O. So that is me learning.
But also thanks to the cantors also.
Yeah.
Sing it out. Well, we did it. We made it. It's Friday.
Thanks for going on this trot around with me.
Man, nope.
Nope.
We're too punny on Friday.
All right, it's got to go. All right, thanks so much.
Oh, wow. Well, someone far better at speaking.
Alex
Italian.
could do this, but
Alex,
he
will
doesn't
you
have
read
a
this?
microphone. Alex, just
Well,
insert your
Just
voice at this
insert
point.
exactly. Just like plug it over this whole thing, and then we'll have it said right.
Nah, it's all right.